The elevator doors opened on the 42nd floor at exactly 11 p.m. Grace Mitchell stepped out, pushing her cleaning cart. The wheels squeaked softly against the polished marble floor. The sound echoed in the empty hallway, bouncing off glass walls and steel frames. This was her favorite time, when the building was quiet, when the executives were gone, when she could work in peace without eyes following her, without voices talking over her like she wasn't there. She was 53 years old, had been cleaning this building for 6 years, knew every office, every desk, every corner, knew which executives left their coffee cups half full, knew who ate lunch at their desk and left crumbs everywhere, knew who worked late and who just pretended to. She knew things people thought cleaning ladies didn't notice. But Grace noticed everything. She stopped at the first office, corner suite, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. A desk made of wood so expensive it probably cost more than her annual salary. The nameplate read, Marcus Chen, Chief Executive Officer. Grace had cleaned this office 1,000 times, had emptied his trash, dusted his shelves, vacuumed his carpet, had seen the photos on his desk, wife, 2 kids, golden retriever, had seen the awards on his walls, had seen the business magazines with his face on the cover. She'd never spoken to him. Not once in 6 years. To him, she was invisible. Just another person in a uniform who made the building function while he took the credit. Grace pulled out her supplies and got to work. She was halfway through dusting the bookshelves when she noticed something. A folder on his desk, left open. Paper spread out like someone had been reviewing them in a hurry. She shouldn't look. Wasn't her business. But something about the header caught her eye. Layoff proposals, confidential. Her hand froze on the dust cloth. She glanced at the door. Still closed. Still quiet. She shouldn't, but she did. She moved closer. Read the first page. Recommendation. Terminate all non-essential personnel. Estimated savings. $2.3 million annually. Departments affected. Maintenance, cleaning, security. Her department. She flipped to the next page. A list of names. Hers was third from the top. Mitchell Grace. Employment duration, 6 years. Termination date, end of fiscal quarter. Severance, none. Contracted position. No severance. 6 years of work. 6 years of showing up every night. Cleaning up after people who never learned her name. 6 years of supporting her grandson through college because his parents were gone and she was all he had. 6 years. And they'd throw her away like the trash she emptied every night. Grace's hands trembled. She carefully placed the papers back exactly as she found them. Finished cleaning the office like nothing had happened. Pushed her cart to the next suite. But her mind was racing. She had 3 months. 3 months to figure out how to survive. 3 months before they took away the only income she had. She thought about her grandson, David, 20 years old, studying computer science. Brilliant kid. Had a scholarship, but it didn't cover everything. She helped with rent, books, food. Had been planning to help him through graduate school. How would she tell him? How would she explain that she'd failed him? Grace finished the 42nd floor in silence. Moved to the 41st. Then the 40th. And with each floor, something inside her hardened. She'd spent 6 years being invisible. Maybe it was time they saw her. The next morning, Grace did something she'd never done before. She didn't go home. She waited. At 6 a.m., she changed out of her cleaning uniform in the employee bathroom, put on the only professional outfit she owned, a simple black dress and blazer she'd bought for her daughter's funeral 10 years ago, fixed her hair, applied minimal makeup. She looked at herself in the mirror, looked like a different person, looked like someone who might belong in those offices she cleaned. She took the elevator to the 42nd floor. At 7 a.m., the executives started arriving. Grace sat in the reception area, hands folded in her lap, waiting. The receptionist, a young woman named Amber, who'd never once acknowledged Grace in 6 years, looked up from her computer. "Can I help you?" "I need to see Mr. Chen." "Do you have an appointment?" "No." Amber's expression shifted, polite to dismissive in half a second. "Mr. Chen doesn't take walk-ins. If you'd like to schedule, tell him Grace Mitchell is here, from the cleaning staff." "The cleaning staff. That's right." Amber blinked, looked confused. like the idea of a cleaning lady asking to see the CEO didn't compute. "I'm sorry, but Mr. Chen's schedule is completely full. If you have a concern about your employment, you should speak with your direct supervisor." I saw the layoff list. Amber's face went pale. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Last night, on his desk, I saw it." "That's confidential information. You had no right." "I had every right. My name is on that list." Silence. Amber looked at her computer screen, then at Grace, then back at the screen. "Please wait here." She disappeared through the heavy wooden doors that led to the executive offices. Grace waited. 5 minutes, 10, 15, and then the doors opened. Marcus Chen stood there, 6 feet tall, expensive suit, hair perfectly styled, the kind of man who looked like he'd been born in a boardroom. He looked at Grace like he'd never seen her before, which was fair. He never had. "Miss Mitchell, is it?" "Grace. Grace, my receptionist says you're from the cleaning staff." "I am. And you're here because?" "Because I saw the layoff proposal on your desk last night. I know you're planning to fire me and everyone in my department." His jaw tightened. "That was confidential. It was left open on your desk. You had no business reading it." "You're right. I didn't. But I did. And now I'm here." He studied her, really looked at her for the first time. "I don't appreciate the accusatory tone. Personnel decisions are made based on business needs." "Business needs." Grace's voice was quiet but sharp. "Is that what you call it when you fire people who've worked here for years, without severance, so you can save money while you give yourself another bonus?" "Excuse me. I've cleaned your office for 6 years, Mr. Chen. I've seen the memos, the financial reports you leave out. I know exactly how much profit this company makes. I know how much you're paid. And I know that the $2.3 million you're saving by firing us is less than half of what you spent on executive bonuses last quarter." His face went red. "How dare you?" "How dare I what? Tell the truth? I've been invisible to you for 6 years. You walk past me like I'm furniture. You've never once said good morning, never once acknowledged that I exist. But I see you. I see all of you. And I know that this company could afford to keep every single person on that list and never notice the difference." Marcus Chen's voice went cold. "You're out of line. I'm honest. You're fired." The words hung in the air like a blade. Grace didn't flinch. "I already am. 3 months from now. You just moved up the timeline. Security will escort you out. Immediately." "Fine." She stood, looked him directly in the eyes. "But you should know something, Mr. Chen. The people you treat as invisible, we see everything. And one day, that's going to matter." "Is that a threat?" "It's a fact." Security arrived. 2 men in uniform. One of them, Frank, had always been kind to Grace. He looked uncomfortable now. "Ma'am, I need you to come with me." Grace nodded, walked toward the elevator with her head high. Behind her, she heard Amber whisper to Marcus, "Should we be worried?" And Marcus's dismissive laugh. "About her? Please. She's a cleaning lady. What's she going to do?" Grace smiled as the elevator doors closed. He had no idea. Grace went home to her small apartment, sat down at her kitchen table, opened her laptop. The screen came to life. Password, David's mom 2024. She logged into an account Marcus Chen didn't know existed. An investment portfolio. Current balance, $847 million. $847 million. Grace stared at the number. She'd stared at it 1,000 times before, and it still didn't feel real. Because how do you explain to people that the cleaning lady is secretly one of the wealthiest women in the city? How do you explain that the woman they ignore, the woman they walk past without seeing, is worth more than most of them would make in 10 lifetimes? You don't. You stay quiet. You watch. You wait. Grace had been born poor, raised in a neighborhood where poverty wasn't a phase. It was a life sentence. Had a daughter at 19. Lost the father before the baby was born. Worked 3 jobs to survive. But Grace had one gift. She understood numbers. While other people saw chaos in the stock market, Grace saw patterns, saw opportunities, saw futures that hadn't happened yet. At 25, she'd started investing. Small amounts, whatever she could spare. Turned $100 into 500, 500 into 5,000, 5,000 into 50,000. By the time she was 30, she had her first million. By 40, she had 50 million. By 50, she had $500 million. And she'd done it all while cleaning offices at night. Because here's what rich people didn't understand. Wealth wasn't about what you showed. It was about what you kept hidden. Grace lived simply. A modest apartment, a 10-year-old car, clothes from department stores. She donated millions to charities anonymously, funded scholarships under fake names, helped people who would never know where the help came from. But she never told anyone. Not her friends, not her family, not even David, because the moment people knew you had money, they changed. They saw you differently, treated you differently, wanted things from you. And Grace wanted to be seen for who she was, not what she had. So she kept cleaning, kept working the night shift, kept being invisible. Until now, she picked up her phone, dialed a number she'd called only once before. Goldman Mercer Acquisitions. How may I direct your call? I need to speak with Richard Goldman. May I ask who's calling? Grace Mitchell. A pause. 1 moment, please. 30 seconds of hold music. Then a voice. Deep. Professional. Surprised. Grace, is that really you? Hello, Richard. My God, it's been years. How are you? I need your help. Anything. Name it. I want to buy a company. Which one? Grace looked at the address she'd written down. The building where she'd worked for 6 years. Sterling Dynamics. The tech firm. I want it. All of it. Silence on the other end. Then, Grace, that's a publicly traded company. Market cap around 600 million. Acquiring it would require. I have the money. Are you serious? Completely. Another pause. When? Tomorrow. Tomorrow? Grace, these things take months. Due diligence, shareholder approval, regulatory. I don't need months. I need tomorrow. And I'm willing to pay above market value. Significantly above. Enough that the board can't say no. Richard let out a low whistle. You're talking about a hostile takeover. I'm talking about buying something that's for sale. Is it possible? With enough money, everything's possible. But Grace, why this company? Why now? She thought about Marcus Chen's face, his dismissive laugh, the way he'd looked at her like she was nothing, because they need to learn something. What's that? That every person matters, even the ones they can't see. Richard was quiet for a moment. Then, I'll make some calls. Give me 2 hours. Thank you, Richard. Grace, whatever this is about, I have a feeling it's going to be spectacular. She hung up, sat back in her chair, looked out the window at the city skyline. Somewhere in that maze of steel and glass was Sterling Dynamics. And tomorrow, it would be hers. Marcus Chen arrived at his office the next morning feeling vindicated. He'd fired the cleaning lady who'd dared to confront him, made an example of her, sent a clear message to the rest of the staff. Know your place. Amber was already at her desk, but something was wrong. She looked pale, shaken. What's wrong with you? Mr. Chen, something's happened. What? An acquisition offer. It came in overnight. Someone wants to buy the company. Marcus laughed. We get offers all the time. Tell them we're not interested. Sir, you don't understand. This offer it's huge. 40% above market value. All cash. Immediate close. He stopped. 40%. Yes, sir. The board is calling an emergency meeting. They want you there in 20 minutes. Marcus's mind raced. An offer like that didn't come from nowhere. Someone wanted Sterling Dynamics badly. Very badly. Who made the offer? Amber handed him a folder. He opened it. The acquiring entity was listed as Nightingale Holdings LLC. He'd never heard of them. Give me everything you can on this company. Everything. I already tried, sir. They're completely private. Shell corporations all the way down. I can't find a single name attached to them. That's impossible. That's what I thought too. Marcus grabbed the folder and headed to the boardroom. The board members were already there. 12 of them. Some excited, some nervous, all confused. The chairman, Harold Stevens, was 70 years old and had been with Sterling Dynamics since its founding. He looked at Marcus with an expression that was hard to read. "Marcus, glad you could join us." "What the hell is going on, Harold?" "We've received an acquisition offer. I assume you've been briefed." "Briefly. Who are these people?" "We don't know. They're represented by Goldman Mercer, one of the most prestigious acquisition firms in the country. But the actual buyer is hidden behind layers of corporate structure. So we turn them down. 40% above market value. I don't care. Sterling Dynamics isn't for sale." "Marcus." Harold's voice was firm. "We have a fiduciary duty to our shareholders. An offer this generous, we have to consider it." "Consider what?" "Selling the company I built to some faceless corporation." "You didn't build this company alone." The words stung more than Marcus expected. "I've given 20 years of my life to Sterling Dynamics. I'm not letting some vulture capitalist swoop in and take it." "Then you'd better have a good reason why we should turn down $900 million. $900 million. That's what they're offering. Cash. They want to close tomorrow." "Tomorrow? That was impossible. No acquisition moved that fast. Unless someone wanted this very badly. Unless someone had a reason." Marcus's mind raced through possibilities. Competitors? Tech giants looking to absorb them? Foreign investors? "I want to meet them." "They've declined." "What?" "They said the offer stands as is. Take it or leave it. No negotiations. No meetings. They close tomorrow or they walk." "That's insane. That's leverage." Harold leaned forward. "Marcus, I know this company means everything to you. But we have shareholders to think about. Employees to think about. This offer could change all of their lives. By firing half of them, you know that's what happens when companies get acquired. They get the staff, keep the assets, sell off the pieces. We can negotiate protections." "They won't negotiate. You just said that." Silence fell over the room. One of the other board members, Patricia Lynn, spoke up. "We need to vote." "Not yet," Marcus said. "Give me 24 hours. Let me figure out who these people are, what they really want." "The offer expires in 24 hours, Harold said. "If we don't accept by tomorrow at noon, it's gone." "Then I have until noon." "Marcus, I'm not losing this company to a ghost." He walked out before anyone could stop him. Back in his office, he called every contact he had. Investment bankers, lawyers, private investigators. Nobody knew anything about Nightingale Holdings. It was like they didn't exist, or like they didn't want to be found. At 6 p.m., exhausted and frustrated, Marcus leaned back in his chair and stared at the ceiling. That's when he noticed something. His office was spotless. More than spotless. Perfect. The books on his shelf were arranged by color. The papers on his desk were organized into neat stacks. Even the plants looked healthier. Someone had cleaned his office. But Grace was gone. He'd fired her yesterday. So who? He stood up and walked to the door. Looked down the hallway. Empty. No cleaning cart. No staff. Just silence. And that's when he saw it. A note on his desk. Simple white paper. Handwritten in neat script. "You asked what I was going to do. Now you know. The offer expires at noon tomorrow. I suggest you take it." The cleaning lady. Marcus's blood turned cold. No. Impossible. The cleaning lady couldn't. She didn't have. He grabbed his phone. Called his head of security. "I need you to pull up employee records. Grace Mitchell. Former cleaning staff. I need everything. Address, bank accounts, background check, everything." "Sir, we don't typically keep that level of detail on contracted." "I don't care what we typically do. Find it." An hour later, the security chief called back. "Sir, we have a problem." "What?" "Grace Mitchell doesn't exist." "What do you mean she doesn't exist?" "I mean the social security number on her employment application is fake. The address is a mail forwarding service. The references are disconnected numbers. It's like someone created an entire identity just to work here." "That's impossible. She's been here for 6 years." "I know, sir. But whoever she really is, she's not Grace Mitchell." Marcus sat down slowly. "Find her. I don't care what it costs. Find her." We're trying, sir. But what? Whoever she is, she doesn't want to be found. Marcus didn't sleep that night. He sat in his office, lights off, staring at the city through his floor-to-ceiling windows. Somewhere out there was the woman he'd fired, the woman he'd never seen, the woman who was apparently about to buy his company. It was insane. Cleaning ladies didn't have $900 million. Cleaning ladies didn't orchestrate hostile takeovers. Cleaning ladies were cleaning ladies. Except Grace Mitchell wasn't a cleaning lady. She played one for 6 years. But who was she really? At 3 a.m., his phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Hello, Mr. Chen. You're up late. The voice was familiar, calm, measured. Grace, where are you? That doesn't matter. What do you want? I want you to accept the offer. Why? Why are you doing this? Silence. Then, do you remember the first time we met? We never met. I fired you yesterday. No, the first time I walked past you in the hallway. 6 years ago. You were on your phone, arguing with someone about quarterly earnings. I was pushing my cleaning cart. You didn't even glance at me. Just walked right through, like I was air. Marcus didn't remember. That happened every day for 6 years. You walked past me hundreds of times. Never once saw me. Never once acknowledged I existed. Look, I'm sorry if I was rude, but I'm not asking for an apology. I'm explaining why this matters. I don't understand. I know. That's the problem. Grace's voice was soft but relentless. You think you built this company. You think you're indispensable. You think the executives, the shareholders, the board, those are the people who matter. They do matter. So do I. You were a cleaning lady. I was a human being, with a name, a life, a grandson I'm putting through college, dreams of my own. But to you, I was just part of the infrastructure, something that made the building function, while you took credit for its shine. Marcus felt anger rising. This is absurd. You're going to destroy everything I've built because I didn't say good morning. I'm not destroying anything. I'm buying it. And when I own it, I'm going to run it differently. How? By seeing people. All people. Not just the ones in corner offices. This is revenge. No, this is a lesson. And what lesson is that? That every person matters. That the woman who cleans your office might be smarter than you. That the people you ignore might be the ones who end up owning everything you think belongs to you. Marcus's voice cracked. Please, don't do this. The offer expires at noon. You have a choice. Accept it, and your shareholders make a fortune. You'll get a generous exit package. Your legacy stays intact. And if I refuse, I'll buy out enough individual shareholders to force a vote anyway. It'll take longer. Be Messier. And by the time I'm done, you'll have nothing. No company. No reputation. Just the memory of the man who was too proud to see what was right in front of him. Why are you giving me the choice then? Because unlike you, I believe in dignity. I'm giving you the chance to walk away with yours intact. The line went dead. Marcus sat in the darkness, the phone still pressed to his ear. At 6 a.m., the board reconvened. Harold looked at Marcus. Have you made a decision? Marcus looked around the table, at the faces of people he'd worked with for years, people who were watching him, waiting. If we accept this offer, he said slowly, what happens to the employees? That's part of the deal, Patricia said, sliding a document across the table. I reviewed the full proposal last night. Nightingale Holdings is requiring we maintain all current employment contracts for a minimum of 2 years. No layoffs. No restructuring. Marcus's eyes widened. What? They're also requiring we cancel the proposed layoffs. Every position that was slated for termination gets retained. That's not how acquisitions work. I know, but that's what they're demanding. Harold added. They're also requiring we increase minimum wage for all non-executive employees by 20% and implement profit sharing. Marcus felt like the room was spinning. This wasn't a hostile takeover. This was, they're not getting the company, he whispered. They're protecting it. From you, Patricia said quietly. They're protecting it from the layoffs you were planning. The truth hit Marcus like a physical blow. Grace hadn't seen the layoff proposal by accident. She'd been looking for it, had probably been watching for months, waiting, gathering information, and when she found the proof that he was willing to throw away dozens of lives to pad the bottom line, she'd acted, not with anger, with $900 million. "We need to vote," Harold said. Marcus looked at the clock. 11:47 a.m. 13 minutes. "Before we vote," Marcus said, his voice hoarse, "I need to say something." The room went silent. "I've spent 20 years building this company, and in that time, I've made a lot of decisions I thought were right, strategic, necessary." He swallowed. "But I've also missed things, important things. I got so focused on quarterly earnings and stock prices that I forgot about the people who actually make this company run, the ones I never saw because I wasn't looking." He looked around the table. Grace Mitchell spent 6 years cleaning our offices, and in that time, she learned more about this company than I ever knew. She saw our flaws, our cruelty, our willingness to sacrifice people for profit, and she decided to do something about it. "So you're saying we should accept?" Patricia asked. "I'm saying she's right, about all of it, and if someone with her vision is willing to invest $900 million to protect the people I was ready to fire, then maybe she should own this company." Marcus stood. "I vote yes." One by one, the others followed. At 11:59 a.m., Harold made the call. "Goldman Mercer? This is Harold Stevens. Tell Nightingale Holdings we accept their offer." The closing happened the next day. Marcus was required to attend, contractually obligated to be there for the final signing. He sat in a conference room at Goldman Mercer's headquarters, surrounded by lawyers and bankers and documents that would transfer ownership of everything he'd built. And he waited to see her, to see Grace, to understand who she really was. At exactly 2 p.m., the doors opened, and Grace Mitchell walked in. She wasn't wearing a cleaning uniform. She wore a tailored charcoal suit, elegant, expensive. Her hair was styled, her makeup subtle but professional. She looked like she belonged in boardrooms. Because she did. She sat down across from Marcus, looked him in the eye. "Mr. Chen, Miss Mitchell." "Actually," she said, sliding a business card across the table, "it's Dr. Mitchell, PhD in economics from MIT, though I haven't used that title in a long time." Marcus stared at the card. "Dr. Grace Mitchell, founder and CEO, Nightingale Holdings, investor, philanthropist, advocate. You're a cleaning lady who happens to have a doctorate and $800 million? "Yes." "How?" "I'm very good with numbers. Started investing when I was 25. Turned $100 into this." She gestured at the documents between them. "I've been doing it for almost 30 years. But why work as a cleaning lady? Why hide? Because I wanted to see how people treated those they considered beneath them. I wanted to understand who deserved my money and who didn't." She leaned forward. "Sterling Dynamics could have been a great company. You had talented people, good technology, real potential, but you were willing to throw away the people who made it work just to save a few percentage points on your bottom line. I was doing what I thought was best for the company. You were doing what was best for the shareholders, not for the people. Shareholders own the company." "Not anymore. I do." The words hung in the air. Marcus felt tears building. "What happens now? Now you sign these papers. You get your exit package, $10 million and full pension. You leave with your reputation intact. The press release will say you're retiring to pursue other interests. And the company. I'm installing a new CEO. Someone who understands that profit and humanity aren't mutually exclusive. The layoffs are canceled. Every employee keeps their job. And we're implementing new policies, better wages, better benefits, profit sharing. You're going to lose money. In the short term, maybe. But I'm not interested in quarterly earnings. I'm interested in building something that lasts. Something that treats people with dignity." Marcus looked at the signature line. His hand trembled as he picked up the pen. "I'm sorry," he whispered, "for not seeing you, for treating you like you didn't matter." Grace's expression softened slightly. "I know, and maybe one day, you'll understand why this needed to happen." He signed. And just like that, Sterling Dynamics was no longer his. As he stood to leave, Grace spoke again. "Mr. Chen." He turned. "You weren't a terrible CEO. You just forgot something important." "What's that?" "The people who clean your floors? They see everything, and some of them have the power to buy your entire world." She smiled. Not cruel, not mocking, just honest. "Remember that, wherever you go next." Grace walked into Sterling Dynamics the next morning as its new owner. The news had broken overnight. The press was calling it the most surprising acquisition of the decade. Nobody knew who Nightingale Holdings was. Nobody knew Dr. Grace Mitchell, but they were about to. She took the elevator to the 42nd floor. Amber was at her desk, looking nervous. "Ms. Mitchell." "Good morning, Amber." I didn't know. When you came in last week, I didn't realize that I was about to buy the company." "I know. That was the point." Amber's face was pale. "Am I fired? Do you think you should be?" "I was rude to you. Dismissive. I didn't take you seriously. You treated me the way you'd been trained to treat people you thought didn't matter. That's not entirely your fault." Grace set her briefcase down. "But it's going to change. Starting now, every employee in this building, from the CEO to the cleaning staff, will be treated with respect. Is that understood?" "Yes, ma'am." "Good. Now, I need you to set up an all-staff meeting. Everyone, every department. I want them in the auditorium at 10 a.m. Everyone? There are over 300 people. Everyone. At 10 a.m., the auditorium was packed. People whispered, confused. Nobody knew what was happening. The rumor mill had been working overtime. Grace stepped onto the stage. The room fell silent. "Good morning. My name is Dr. Grace Mitchell. As of yesterday afternoon, I am the owner of Sterling Dynamics." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "Most of you don't know me, but I know you. I've spent the last 6 years working in this building, at night, as part of the cleaning staff." Gasps. Shocked faces. "I did this because I wanted to understand this company from the inside. I wanted to see how you worked, how you treated each other, what you valued." She paused. "And I learned a lot. I learned that you have brilliant engineers who never get credit for their innovations. I learned that you have support staff who work twice as hard for half the recognition. I learned that many of you are scared right now because there was a plan to lay off nearly 100 people." More murmurs. Some people look down. "That plan is canceled. Effective immediately, there will be no layoffs. Every single person in this room keeps their job." The auditorium erupted in shocked applause. Grace raised her hand for quiet. "But keeping your jobs isn't enough. You deserve better. So here's what's changing." She projected a slide onto the screen behind her. "Effective next month, minimum wage for all non-executive employees increases by 20%. All employees will participate in a profit-sharing program. When this company succeeds, you succeed. We're implementing flexible work schedules, expanded parental leave, and mental health benefits." People were crying. Some were hugging. "I'm also creating an employee council. Representatives from every department who will meet with me monthly to discuss concerns, suggestions, and ideas. Your voices will be heard." She looked around the room. "I didn't buy this company to gut it. I bought it to prove something. That a business can be profitable and compassionate. That you can treat people with dignity and still succeed. That the person cleaning your office might be smarter than you and deserves to be valued regardless." A hand went up in the back. A young man in engineering. "Dr. Mitchell, why did you really do this? Why pretend to be a cleaning lady for 6 years?" Grace smiled. "Because I was a cleaning lady. For real, I mean. Before I made my money, I cleaned offices for 15 years. I know what it's like to be invisible, to work hard and have nobody notice, to matter and have nobody care." Her voice cracked slightly. "And when I became wealthy, I could have just donated to charity and felt good about myself. But I wanted to do more. I wanted to understand how companies really work, who gets valued and who gets ignored. And then I wanted to change it." She looked around the room. "Sterling Dynamics is my test case, my proof of concept. If we can build a company that's both profitable and humane, other companies will follow. We can change the entire business model." The applause this time was deafening. As the meeting ended and people filed out, many of them stopped to thank Grace, to shake her hand, to tell her their stories. And for the first time in 6 years, Grace felt seen. Not as a cleaning lady, not as a billionaire, as a person who gave. Not everyone was happy about the changes. 3 weeks into Grace's ownership, the executive team requested a private meeting. 6 of them sat across from her in the conference room. Senior VPs, directors, people who'd been with the company for decades. The spokesperson was James Whitmore, VP of Operations, mid-50s, silver hair, the kind of executive who'd climbed the ladder by playing politics. Dr. Mitchell, we need to discuss the new policies. I'm listening. They're unsustainable. The profit sharing alone is going to cost us millions. The wage increases are destroying our margins. We're becoming uncompetitive. Grace pulled up a spreadsheet on the monitor. Let me show you something. This is our profit from last quarter before I took over. $32 million. This is our projected profit this quarter under the new policies. $28 million. Exactly. You're costing us $4 million. And this, Grace highlighted another column, is our employee retention rate. Before, 68% annual retention. After 3 weeks of new policies, 94%. Do you know what it costs to replace and retrain employees? James shifted uncomfortably. That's not the point. That's exactly the point. We were hemorrhaging talent because people felt undervalued. They were leaving for competitors, taking their knowledge with them. The cost of that turnover was close to $6 million annually. She leaned forward. So yes, profit sharing costs us $4 million, but we're saving $6 million in turnover. Net gain, $2 million. Plus, happier employees are more productive. Preliminary data shows a 15% increase in efficiency across all departments. Silence. Another executive, Patricia from marketing, spoke up. But what about shareholder value? I'm the only shareholder now, and I'm happy. But if you ever want to take the company public again, I don't. Sterling Dynamics will remain private, which means we can focus on long-term stability instead of quarterly earnings reports that make shareholders happy while destroying the company from the inside. James's face reddened. With all due respect, you've been running this company for 3 weeks. Some of us have been here for 20 years. We know how business works. Grace's expression hardened. You know how one version of business works. The version that treats people as expendable, that prioritizes short-term profit over long-term sustainability, that sees employees as costs to be minimized instead of assets to be invested in. That's not fair, isn't it? Let me ask you something, James. How many people on the cleaning staff can you name? What? The people who clean your office every night. The ones who make sure you have a pleasant workspace. What are their names? I don't see how that's relevant. It's completely relevant. You've worked here for 20 years, and you don't know their names. You've never bothered to learn, because to you, they're invisible. James stood. I don't have to sit here and be lectured. Yes, you do, because I own this company. And if you can't adapt to the new culture, you're welcome to leave. The room went silent. James looked at the others, waiting for support. None came. He grabbed his briefcase and walked out. The others sat frozen. Grace looked at them calmly. Anyone else want to leave? The door's open. I won't stop you. But if you stay, you follow the new rules. You learn people's names. You treat everyone with respect. You understand that your job is to build, not to extract. Slowly, one by one, they nodded. Good. Meeting adjourned. 2 months in, a journalist from Business Weekly requested an interview. Grace almost declined. She'd avoided press since the acquisition. But her assistant convinced her. People are curious. Your story is spreading. You can control the narrative or let others define it. Grace agreed. The journalist was a woman in her 30s named Rebecca Torres. Sharp eyes. Recording device. Questions ready. They sat in Grace's office, the same one Marcus Chen had occupied. She'd kept the desk, but changed everything else. Added plants. Photos of her grandson. Books on leadership and philosophy. Dr. Mitchell, thank you for agreeing to this. Call me Grace. Grace. Let's start with the obvious question. Why did you spend 6 years pretending to be a cleaning lady? I wasn't pretending. I was a cleaning lady. I just happened to also be a billionaire. But why? You could have bought any company. Why infiltrate one first? Grace thought carefully. Because buying a company is easy when you have money. Understanding it is hard. I wanted to see sterling dynamics from the bottom up. See how decisions made in boardrooms affected the people who actually did the work. And what did you learn? That most executives have no idea what their companies really do. They see spreadsheets and metrics. They don't see Maria, who's been cleaning offices for 15 years and has a daughter with cerebral palsy. They don't see David in IT, who's brilliant but terrified to speak up in meetings. They don't see the invisible infrastructure that makes everything possible. Rebecca scribbled notes. You've implemented radical changes. Critics say they're unsustainable. Critics said the same thing about Henry Ford when he doubled wages. He built an empire. But Ford was selling cars. You're in tech. Different market. Same principle. Invest in people. They perform better. Treat them well. They stay longer. Value them. They innovate more. You sound more like a socialist than a capitalist. Grace laughed. I'm a capitalist who understands that capitalism works best when it doesn't destroy the people participating in it. Profit isn't evil, but profit at the expense of human dignity is. What about Marcus Chen? Any regrets about how you handled his removal? Grace was quiet for a moment. I gave him a choice. He could accept the acquisition with dignity or fight it and lose everything. He chose dignity. I respect that. Have you spoken to him since? Once. He called to apologize. Said he'd been thinking about all the people he'd failed to see over the years. Asked if I'd be willing to consult on a new venture he's starting. A nonprofit focused on worker rights. Will you? I already am. Rebecca's eyebrows rose. So, you're helping the man who fired you. I'm helping someone who learned from his mistakes. That's what second chances are for. The interview went on for 2 hours. When it published the following week, the headline read, "The Billionaire Cleaning Lady, How Dr. Grace Mitchell is Rewriting Corporate America." It went viral. Within days, Grace was receiving calls from other companies. CEOs wanting advice, workers wanting help, journalists wanting interviews. She declined most of them, but she accepted one. Her name was Maria Santos, 26 years old, worked as a custodian at a major law firm in the city. She'd read the Business Weekly article and somehow tracked down Grace's contact information. "Dr. Mitchell, I'm sorry to bother you. I know you're busy, but I needed to talk to someone who would understand." Grace invited her to coffee. They met at a small cafe downtown. Maria was nervous, hands shaking as she stirred her latte. "I've been cleaning offices for 8 years, since I was 18. And I have a secret." "What kind of secret?" "I'm smart, really smart. I taught myself coding, cybersecurity. I've been taking online courses for years. I have certifications that most IT professionals would kill for." "That's impressive. But nobody knows. At work, I'm just a cleaning lady. I hear them talk about needing cybersecurity experts, about systems being vulnerable, about problems I could solve in my sleep, but I can't say anything." "Why not?" "Because if I tell them I'm more than what they see, they'll think I'm trying to be something I'm not. They'll think I'm overstepping. They'll fire me for pretending to be something I'm not." Grace recognized the pain in Maria's voice. "What do you want to do?" "I want to work in cybersecurity, actually use my skills. But every job requires experience I can't get because nobody will give me a chance. They see custodian on my resume and stop reading. So take it off." "What? Take custodian off your resume. List your certifications, your skills, your online project portfolio. Apply as yourself, not as your job title." "But that's lying." "It's not lying. It's refusing to let other people's assumptions define you." Maria's eyes filled with tears. "I'm scared. I know. But fear is just evidence that you're about to do something brave." Grace pulled out her phone. "I know someone at Data Shield Security. They're always looking for talent. I'll make an introduction. But Maria, you have to promise me something. Anything. When you get where you're going, when you're successful and people respect you, remember this feeling. Remember what it's like to be invisible. And when you see someone else being overlooked, you speak up for them. Maria nodded through tears. I promise. 3 weeks later, Maria called. Dr. Mitchell, I got the job. Lead cybersecurity analyst. I start next month. Grace smiled into the phone. I never doubted you would. Thank you for seeing me. You were always there, Maria. I just pointed you toward people who were willing to look. 6 months into Grace's ownership of Sterling Dynamics, something unexpected happened. The night cleaning staff requested a meeting. All of them, the entire team. They gathered in the small break room on the 3rd floor. 23 people. The people Grace had worked alongside for 6 years. Her people. She walked in at 11 p.m., their shift start time. They stood when she entered. Please sit. This is your space. They sat, nervous, uncertain. Miguel, the crew supervisor, spoke first. He'd worked there for 12 years. Dr. Mitchell, we wanted to thank you for the wage increase, for the profit sharing, for actually treating us like we matter. You do matter. We know that now, because you showed us. But we also wanted to say we knew. Grace's eyebrows rose. Knew what? That you were different. That you weren't really just one of us. How? A woman named Carmen smiled. The way you cleaned. Too efficient. Like you'd studied the most effective patterns. The way you asked questions, not small talk, but real questions about how the company worked. The way you watched everything. Another cleaner, Robert, added, we didn't know you were a billionaire, but we knew you were gathering intelligence. Grace felt her throat tighten, and you never said anything. We figured you had your reasons, and honestly, we hoped you were going to burn this place down. The way they treated us, the way they treated you that last day when they fired you. Miguel shook his head. We wanted someone to make them pay. I didn't want revenge. We know. You wanted justice. That's better. Silence fell. Then Carmen spoke again. We have a favor to ask. Anything. Teach us. What you know. How you think. How you went from where we are to where you are now. We don't all want to be billionaires, but we want to be more than invisible. Grace looked around the room at these faces she knew so well. People who'd worked beside her, eaten lunch with her, covered her shifts when she needed to leave early. People who'd seen her, even when everyone else looked through her. Yes, she said quietly. I'll teach you. We'll start next week. Financial literacy, investment basics, how to see opportunities, how to build wealth slowly and steadily. You do that for us. You're the only people in this company who treated me like I mattered before you knew I had money. That kind of character is rare. I'd be honored. The classes started the following week. Every Wednesday night at midnight, during lunch breaks, Grace taught, not just finance, everything she'd learned in 30 years of building wealth while poor. How to budget when you have nothing. How to invest tiny amounts and be patient. How to see value where others see nothing. How to survive in a system designed to keep you poor. Within a year, 5 of them had started investment portfolios. Within 2 years, 3 had left to start their own businesses. Within 5 years, every single person in that break room had tripled their net worth, and they became Grace's closest advisors because they understood something most executives never would. What it felt like to be counted out before you'd even started 0.3 years into Grace's ownership. Sterling Dynamics faced its first real crisis. A major client, responsible for 30% of their revenue, threatened to pull their contract. The CEO of that client, Richard Havers, made his position clear in a public statement. Sterling Dynamics' new policies are admirable but unsustainable. Their focus on employee welfare over profit maximization concerns us. We need partners who prioritize shareholder value. The statement made headlines. Is Dr. Mitchell's experiment failing? Compassionate capitalism hits reality. Cleaning lady CEO may clean out company's clients. Grace's executive team panicked. We need to compromise, James, who'd stayed and become one of her strongest allies, insisted. Scale back some of the benefits. Show clients we're serious about profit. No, Grace, this is 30% of our revenue. I know the numbers. Then you know we can't afford to lose them. Yes, we can. How? Grace pulled up a presentation she'd been working on for weeks. Because I've been preparing for this, I knew someone would challenge us eventually. So I've spent the last 6 months diversifying our client base. We're signing contracts with 15 new companies, smaller accounts, but values aligned. Combined, they'll replace what we lose from havers. That's a huge risk. It's not a risk, it's a principle. If we compromise our values to keep one client, we'll compromise them again and again until we're no different than we were before. She looked around the room. We're not going back. Not ever. If clients want partners who treat employees like commodities, they can find them elsewhere. Sterling Dynamics stands for something different. The board voted to let the contract lapse. Richard Havers was shocked. You're actually willing to lose $30 million in revenue over your principles? Absolutely. You're insane. Maybe, but I sleep well at night. 6 months later, one of the new clients Grace had signed became their biggest account, worth more than Havers had been. A year after that, Havers' company faced a massive scandal involving worker exploitation. Their stock price plummeted. Richard Havers was forced to resign, and in his resignation letter, he wrote, "Dr. Grace Mitchell was right. Profit without principle is poison. I wish I'd learned that lesson sooner." Grace kept the letter framed in her office, not as a trophy, as a reminder that doing the right thing might cost you in the short term, but it pays dividends forever. Grace's grandson David graduated from college that spring. Computer science degree, top of his class, job offers from major tech companies. He chose Sterling Dynamics. Grace tried to talk him out of it. "You don't have to work for me, David. You should explore. Find your own path. I want to work here, not because you own it, because of what you're building. People will say you only got the job because of nepotism. Let them. I'll prove them wrong." He did. David started as a junior software engineer. No special treatment, no shortcuts. He worked harder than anyone, stayed later, coded cleaner, collaborated better. Within a year, he was promoted to senior engineer. Within 2, he was leading a team. And at 25, he came to Grace with an idea. "I want to create a mentorship program. Pair employees with people outside their departments. Break down the silos. Let people learn from each other." That's ambitious. I learned it from watching you. You taught the cleaning staff about finance. Not because you had to, because you believed they deserved to know. They did deserve it. So does everyone here. The engineers should learn from marketing. Marketing should learn from custodial. Everyone has knowledge worth sharing. Grace smiled. "Do it. You have my full support." The program launched that fall. Sterling Dynamics Cross-Pollination Initiative. Within 6 months, it had transformed the company culture. People who'd never spoken started collaborating. Ideas flowed across departments. Innovation exploded, and David became one of the most respected leaders in the company. Not because his grandmother owned it, because he embodied its values. One night, working late, David found Grace in her office. "Grandma, can I ask you something?" "Always. Why did you really buy this company? Was it just about proving a point to Marcus Chen?" Grace was quiet for a long moment. "I bought it for you." "What?" "When you were 16, you came home from school crying. Some kids had made fun of you for your clothes. Said you looked poor. Said you'd never amount to anything." David nodded slowly, remembering. "I could have bought you expensive clothes. Could have told you money didn't matter. But I wanted to show you something more important." "What?" "That people who judge you by your appearance are wrong. That the person they overlook might be the one who ends up owning everything they value. That dignity doesn't come from what you wear or where you work. It comes from how you treat people when you have the power to treat them any way you want." Tears filled David's eyes. "You did all this for me?" "I did it for every kid who's ever been made to feel less than. For every person who's been invisible. For everyone who needed proof that the game isn't rigged if you refuse to play by their rules." She stood and walked to the window. "And I did it for your mother, my daughter, who cleaned houses her whole life and never got to see the world change. I couldn't save her, but I could build a world where people like her are valued." David hugged his grandmother tight. "Thank you. No, baby. Thank you for being the reason I keep fighting. 5 years after the acquisition, Sterling Dynamics had tripled in value. Revenue was up. Employee satisfaction was the highest in the industry. Turnover was nearly zero. Other companies started copying the model. The Sterling method became a case study in business schools. Grace was invited to speak at Harvard, Yale, Stanford. She declined most invitations, but she accepted one, a small community college in the neighborhood where she'd grown up. She stood in front of 200 students, most of them working full-time while taking classes, many of them the first in their families to attend college, students who reminded her of herself. I'm not here to tell you that anyone can be a billionaire if they work hard enough. That's not true. I got lucky, had the right skills at the right time, made investments that paid off when they could have failed. She paused. But I'm here to tell you that you are not invisible, that the work you do matters, that cleaning an office or serving food or answering phones is valuable, dignified work, and anyone who treats you like you're less than because of your job doesn't deserve your respect. She looked around the room. Don't let people tell you what you're worth based on what they can see. You are more than your job title, more than your paycheck, more than their assumptions. A young woman in the front row raised her hand. Dr. Mitchell, what would you say to someone who's working 3 jobs just to survive, who doesn't have time to invest or build wealth or plan for the future? Grace's voice softened. I'd say, survive first. There's no shame in doing what you need to do to make it through. But while you're surviving, pay attention. Watch how money moves. Notice who has power and why. Learn the game even if you can't play it yet. And then, when you get a breath of air, even just a moment, invest it. Not just money, time, attention, skills. Invest in yourself relentlessly, because the system is designed to keep you too tired to think about tomorrow. But if you can carve out even tiny moments to build towards something better, eventually those moments add up. She smiled. I started with $100 when I was 25. I was exhausted, scared, didn't know if it would work. But I decided that even if I couldn't change my life overnight, I could change it slowly. And slow change is still change. The applause was thunderous. After her talk, dozens of students lined up to speak with her. Many of them were crying. One young man, barely 20, shook her hand and said, "My mom cleans offices, has for 20 years. I'm going to show her your story. Show her that what she does matters." It does matter. Tell her Grace Mitchell says thank you for all of us who know what it's like. 10 years after buying Sterling Dynamics, Grace made an announcement. She was stepping down as owner. The company would become employee-owned. Every single person who worked there would receive shares proportional to their tenure and contribution. No executives would get more than 3 times what the lowest paid employee received. The wealth would be distributed. The power would be shared. Sterling Dynamics would become a cooperative. The announcement shocked the business world. Billionaire gives away $1.2 billion company to employees. Is this the future of corporate America? Grace Mitchell's final revolution. At the announcement press conference, a journalist asked, "Dr. Mitchell, you could have sold this company for billions. Why give it away?" "Because I don't need billions. I have enough. More than enough. And these people built this company with their labor, their ideas, their dedication. They deserve to own what they built." But won't this destroy shareholder value? There are no shareholders anymore, just worker owners, and their value is measured in more than stock prices. Another journalist, "What message are you sending to other billionaires?" Grace smiled. "That wealth is a tool, not a trophy, that you can't take it with you. That the real measure of success isn't how much you accumulate. It's how many people's lives improved because you existed." She looked directly into the camera. "I was a cleaning lady who happened to get rich, but I never forgot where I came from. I never forgot what it felt like to be invisible, and I refused to participate in a system that makes people disappear. So change it. Use your power to lift others. Build companies that value people. Create opportunities for those who've been locked out. And when you've built something beautiful, give it to the people who made it possible." The press conference ended, but the conversation had just begun that on her last day as owner, Grace did something symbolic. She put on her old cleaning uniform, grabbed a cart, and cleaned the 42nd floor one final time. The employees watched in silence as she moved through the executive offices, dusting shelves, emptying trash, vacuuming floors. When she finished, she stood in the center of the hallway and looked around. Miguel approached, now head of the Employee Ownership Council. "Why did you do this, Dr. Mitchell?" "One last time." "To remember," she said quietly. "To remember that this is where it started. In these hallways, pushing this cart, being invisible." She ran her hand along the cart's handle. "I never want to forget what this felt like, because the moment I forget, I become like them, like the people who couldn't see me. You could never be like them. Anyone can become like them if they stop paying attention. Power changes people. Wealth changes people. The only way to stay grounded is to deliberately remember what it was like before." She looked at him. "Promise me something, Miguel. Now that you and the others own this company, don't forget the next person pushing a cart. Don't forget the next invisible worker. Keep seeing people." "We promise." Grace smiled. "Good. Then my work here is done." She left the cart in the supply closet where she'd found it 10 years ago, took the elevator down, walked out of Sterling Dynamics for the last time as its owner, and at the bottom of the steps, she stopped, looked up at the building, remembered the young woman who'd once stood here, holding a folder full of rejection letters, wondering if she'd ever matter. She mattered. She'd always mattered. It just took the world a while to notice. Grace turned and walked away, knowing the building behind her was in good hands. Not because she controlled it, because she'd freed it. Grace's model spread. Within 5 years, 12 major companies had converted to employee ownership using the Sterling Dynamics blueprint. Within 10 years, it was a movement. Cooperative capitalism became a field of study. Grace became a consultant, helping companies transition. She never charged for her services. "I have enough," she'd say. "I'm just paying forward what the universe gave me." She lived simply. Same modest apartment, same 10-year-old car, but now she spent her time differently. Mornings, mentoring young entrepreneurs from underrepresented backgrounds. Afternoons, teaching financial literacy in underserved communities. Evenings, writing a book about her journey, about what she'd learned, about how to build wealth while staying human. The book was titled Invisible No More, A Cleaning Lady's Guide to Changing the World. It became a bestseller, not because people wanted to get rich, because people wanted to matter. And Grace's story proved they could point 20 years after buying Sterling Dynamics. Grace received a letter from Marcus Chen. She hadn't heard from him in years. Knew he'd built a successful nonprofit. Knew he'd dedicated his life to worker advocacy. But they'd never rekindled contact. Until now. The letter was handwritten. "Dear Dr. Mitchell, I'm writing because I'm dying. Cancer. The doctors give me 6 months. I wanted to thank you before I go. Not for the acquisition, though looking back, that was the best thing that ever happened to me, but for the lesson you taught me. You showed me that I'd spent 20 years looking without seeing, building without understanding, succeeding without meaning. After you bought Sterling Dynamics, I was angry, hurt, lost, but then I started thinking about all the people I'd failed to notice, all the graces I'd walked past without seeing, and I realized I'd wasted 20 years being blind. So I spent the next 20 trying to see. The nonprofit I built has helped pass legislation in 12 states protecting worker rights. We've organized thousands of workers. We've changed laws. But more than that, I've changed. I know people's names now. I ask about their lives. I see them. And it's all because a cleaning lady taught me that every person matters. So thank you, Grace, for seeing me, not as a CEO or an enemy, but as someone who could learn. Someone who could change. You gave me a second chance at being human. With profound gratitude, Marcus Chen. Grace read the letter 3 times. Then she picked up the phone. "Marcus, it's Grace." His voice was weak, but warm. "You got my letter." "I did, and I'm coming to see you." "You don't have to." "I know, but I want to." They met the next day. Marcus was thin, frail, but his eyes were bright. They talked for hours about the company he'd built and lost, about the nonprofit he'd created, about the workers they'd both fought for. And about forgiveness. I forgave you 20 years ago, Grace said, the moment you chose dignity over fighting the acquisition. But more than that, I'm grateful to you. For what? For giving me a reason. I needed someone to prove wrong. Needed a system to challenge. You weren't my enemy, Marcus. You were my catalyst. He smiled weakly. I'm glad my failure could serve a purpose. It wasn't failure. It was transformation. Before she left, Marcus asked one final question. Do you think we changed anything? Really? Or did we just make noise in a system that will outlast us? Grace thought carefully. I think we planted seeds. Some will grow, some won't. But enough people saw what's possible. Saw that companies can be different, that leaders can change, that invisible people can become visible. That's enough. That's everything. Marcus died 3 weeks later. At his funeral, Grace was asked to speak. She stood at the podium, looking out at hundreds of faces, workers he'd helped, lives he'd changed. Marcus Chen was not a perfect man, but he was a man who learned, who grew, who admitted when he was wrong and spent the rest of his life trying to be better. She paused. That's all any of us can do. Acknowledge our blindness, open our eyes, and spend whatever time we have left actually seeing the people around us. Marcus saw me eventually, and in doing so, he saw himself, his flaws, his potential, his humanity. That's his legacy, not the companies he built, but the person he became. May we all be so brave. 30 years after the acquisition, Grace received an invitation. Sterling Dynamics, now fully employee-owned and thriving, was celebrating its 50th anniversary. They wanted Grace to attend as the guest of honor. She was 83 now, slower, grayer, but her mind was sharp as ever. David picked her up in an electric car. Sterling Dynamics now manufactured sustainable tech, having pivoted years ago under employee guidance. You ready, Grandma? As I'll ever be. They drove to the building she hadn't entered in decades. It looked different. Solar panels on the roof, green spaces around the entrance, a sculpture in the plaza dedicated to the workers who built this. Inside, the transformation was even more dramatic. Where there had been cold marble, now there were warm woods and living walls. Where there had been executive offices, now there were collaborative spaces. Where there had been hierarchy, now there was community. The auditorium was packed. 300 employees, former employees, community members. They stood when Grace entered. The applause lasted 5 full minutes. A young woman, couldn't be more than 25, approached the microphone. Dr. Mitchell, my name is Sofia Rodriguez. I'm the current chair of the Worker Council. I never met you before today, but I want you to know, your story changed my life. How so? My mother was a housekeeper, worked for rich families her whole life. She died when I was 15. I grew up thinking that was all people like us could be. Invisible, unimportant. Sophia's voice cracked. Then I read your book, learned your story, realized my mother was a hero, that her work mattered, that I could be more than what people expected. I applied to Sterling Dynamics 5 years ago, started in customer service. The ownership structure here means I have a voice, a stake, a future. I'm 26 years old, and I own part of a billion-dollar company. Not because I was born into wealth, because you proved it was possible to build something different. Grace felt tears on her cheeks. Your mother was a hero, she said quietly. Never doubt that. The celebration continued for hours. Stories shared, lives changed, futures built on the foundation Grace had laid. And as she sat there, surrounded by people she'd never met who knew her story, Grace understood something profound. She'd started as a cleaning lady, become a billionaire, bought a company, given it away, and in doing so, she'd become immortal. Not because of her wealth, because of her choice to matter. Grace died at 91, peacefully, in her sleep. Her funeral was attended by thousands, CEOs and cleaning staff, politicians and custodians, billionaires and workers, all equal in their grief and gratitude. Her will was simple. Her remaining wealth, still substantial despite decades of giving, was distributed among dozens of charities, scholarships, and worker advocacy organizations. But she left one specific bequest to David. Not money, A cleaning cart, the same one she'd pushed for 6 years, with a note, "David, this card is my most valuable possession, not because of what it is, but because of what it represents. It represents the years I spent invisible, the people I met who saw me anyway, the power I gained by choosing humility over pride. Keep it somewhere you can see it, and whenever you're tempted to forget where you came from, whenever you're tempted to stop seeing people, whenever you're tempted to let power corrupt you, remember the cleaning lady. Remember that the person pushing this cart might be the smartest person in the room. Remember that dignity isn't given, it's recognized. And remember that you come from a woman who changed the world by refusing to stay invisible. I love you, I'm proud of you, and I'm counting on you to carry this forward." Grandma. David kept the cart in the lobby of Sterling Dynamics headquarters, behind glass, with a plaque, Dr. Grace Mitchell, 1943 to 2034. She saw what others missed. She mattered when others ignored. She changed everything by refusing to disappear. And below that, her most famous quote, "The people who clean your floors might own your future. Treat everyone like they matter, because THEY do." The end. For every person who's ever been invisible, you matter. You always have. And one day, the world will see you too.